that if you want to achieve something bigger, it doesn't really happen overnight. You've got to have the trust. You've got to show up every single day, however you feel, and and that's how you get to where you want to eventually.
A space curated for people from different walks of life. Unbound is my deep dive into their personal journeys of self discovery to unravel, unearth, and uncover various facets of their lives as they remain unstoppable and continue to do the unthinkable. So let's get started and unbound together. In the latest episode of Unbound with Mamtaa, I have with me Sandesha Jaitapakar. Absolutely an unstoppable human, she's an embodiment of inspiration herself. Sandesha exactly knows how to up the bar of excellence each time life throws on her a new roadblock or challenge. So let's get started and unravel the truth of this unstoppable human on this episode of Unbound with Mamta. Hi, Sandesha. Welcome to my show Unbound. How are you doing today?
Hi, Mamta. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here.
It's an absolute honor and a pleasure for us to have you. And let's just get started right from the start. So tell me, Sandesha, what about some of your background, your learning grounds? Where have you started this journey of your professional world?
I guess yeah, that's a great question to start with. I started this journey at least of building Artha with my founder uh, a decade ago, and it's been a roller coaster ride ever since. So we obviously I was a hotelier before I joined the financial services domain, and so this idea that came about a decade ago was initially obviously started with energy as a division, and then we built on and started investing in early age startups. So yeah, I mean it's been great. We've seen COVID in the process. We've seen our ups and downs, and it's been the more you talk about it, the more you think of everything that you've gone through in the process. But like they say, if you come out all strong, and the product that you see today essentially does talk a lot about the journey itself, right? So I think we're kind of happy with what we built.
So tell us a little about Artha Group and tell me a little bit more about your experience as a hotelier and much before that.
So a little bit about Artha Group. Obviously, we like I said, we started a decade ago, and it's a very the model is very unique, where we started with investing in renewable energy assets, and all the capital that comes from the renewable energy assets then essentially gets deployed in early age startups, and which is obviously a very unique way of contributing to both these sides of the domains, and sort of making profit out of it. So that's essentially it. Later on, obviously, in the last 2 3 years, we've launched multiple funds, that are SEBI registered, and we've been also working on sort of setting up a bunch of more in the next few years. Uh, Talking about my journey before Artha is that like I said, it was not for really long, but yeah, I have had my hands onto the service industry, which essentially has a role to play to who I am today, because that service industry essentially shows you in a way what the reality is, right? I mean, it keeps you grounded, it keeps you patient, it gives you a lot of I would say the resilience that you have to deal with things on daily basis is something that comes with a place where you know that uh, your job is to listen most times, and and make the other person feel comfortable. And I think a part of my personality today, and as founders we blend really well. As partners in the organization, we blend really well because of these qualities, I guess. Is a good balance of these qualities, right? I mean, one is ready to go out there and get what it takes. At the same time, you always have someone who you can count on at the back to sort of manage things the way they're supposed to be. So yeah, I mean, so every bit of the journey from the past has a role to play to who I am today, and I do not want to discount any part of where it started with. when I talk about what I am today.
Absolutely. I think these are all the fragments of you who make a collective whole, and we cannot really disjoin or take off or away anything. So that's beautiful. Tell me a little bit about your thing towards fitness. You're also into trekking. Tell us a little bit about these aspects of your life and personality.
So trekking is something that is really close to heart, I would say. It's not only, so trekking in a way for me is therapy. I would say it's for the good. It's for the time that I'm also going through something. So there has never been a time that I have, I feel like uh, there is a bit of a stagnant moment in my life, and that I've not gone on a trek, and it is so, and I sort of get my head in the right place, right? So trekking in a way also, because of the challenges that it takes to get to where you are, or where you have to get to in the process of trekking, I feel, most people, when I hear them going on breaks that are just bliss and you just rest it out, I think it's a little other way. It's a bit other way for me, right? I kind of like going in the mountains and climbing them and getting to the peak to feel the best about myself and get my head sorted, right? So most times trekking has done that to me. And if you want to be trekking, then you can't be someone who's not fit. So
Mm,
these
true.
are, in a way, it acts like a pyramid for me, and I tell you, the fitness bit also is something that changed over a period of time. I was not someone who was always into healthy eating habits, or someone who was a fitness freak, until it reached a point where I was stopped from going for a trek because I was unwell. And I was, and that was sort of the eureka moment for me, I would say, when it comes to about, for shifting my focus to eating the right food, going to the gym, staying fit, being regular about my habits, and consistency plays obviously a vital role in these things, right? I'm extremely, I think, as a personality, I'm extremely consistent about anything that I've taken up. Right? If something's on my table at work, it will not sit there on my table forever. Likewise, even fitness is something which, in a way, is a personal goal. But I kind of get supremely disturbed if I have to miss out on a workout every one single day, because I'm just like, I want to. Consistency is the key here. You can't get to where you are by showing up when you want to.
Would you say then this is your biggest strength or maybe your talent? How do you identify it if I were to tell you? And I'm sure consistency does take a lot of discipline also, right?
That is right. That
Yeah,
is right. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah, it does act. It does act as one of my biggest strengths, I would say, because I also, so something that I do myself. I feel like I would also imbibe that to people who look up to me, and who have that respect and trust, into who I am. I feel like a part of me has been imbibed into people that are close to me, and I feel like, in a way, that I'm also influencing more people to do what is essentially the best thing to do in our current lifestyles, right?
yeah.
So whether it is consistency at work, whether it is consistency with my food habits, with my health habits, with my fitness habits, and so on, and like reading habits, or whatever that could be, right? So I feel like that this is something that, so staying disciplined with things, that are going to take you to sort of the higher extents, is something that's really essential, and I would really call it my biggest strength, because I would not get sleep if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So it really affects me, I would say.
Wow, that gives us a lot to look up to, and that gives us a lot of inspiration too. Thank you for being you, Sandesha. There, tell me about being on the top 10 list as the best COOs. So, what does this bring along?
Part of, I think, doing good work is, comes from a place where you're not literally watching who's watching you. And Trade Flock literally came to me in that sense. When they reached out to me, and I don't want to say that I don't deserve this, but I would not deny the fact that I was surprised when they say that they're talking about countries top COOs, and I'm like, listen, is this email in my inbox? What is going on? I remember calling the team over really quickly, and I'm like, listen, can we just find out if this is some sort of a spam? Because it's I would not say it was unbelievable. I always knew I was supposed to get to where I am, right? But I wasn't expecting it to be that quick. But again, when like I said, when you continue to, and this is something that is that we follow as a culture at Artha is that when you continue to do good work, and when you are true to yourself, there is absolutely nothing that can stop you to reach to where you are, right? And and being called as one of the top 10 COOs, I think I am probably the youngest one in that batch also. So I take a lot of pride in getting that tag so early in my career. And and that sort of also, in a way, I would not say that I was any less motivated before, but knowing that, this entire theory of you continue to do good work and you will eventually, and it will get acknowledged, in a way proved right in this scenario. So I think it kind of acts as a push to everything else that I do now. There is absolutely no doubt about the fact that you continue to do good work, and there is nothing that can stop you to reach where you want to.
Yeah, I think you've really pointed out a very interesting thing here in the conversation, that obviously nothing would stop you from putting out your best. But tell me, independently, how do you see success and failure?
So I think, yeah, you're right. In a way, I feel success is a bit overrated but I think the entire matrix to measure success is also something that's taken a different turn altogether uh, right now, right? I feel like people are rating success with being famous. You don't want to win a, something that my founder always keeps saying to the press, to the team, that we don't want to win a popularity contest here, right? Let's continue to do good work and create sort of a change, right? And bring in awareness and bring in a change. I think if you're able to do that, it is just not about being famous anymore. I think good work anyways gets acknowledged. But yeah, just to sort of give a perspective to the whole failure aspect, I feel it's just such a big deal that you can't accept that you have failed at something. I mean, it's only human, you can't do it all, right? So I don't know why do we keep beating ourselves all the time, and keep like going through so much pressure to be able to perform, right? And in that entire process, I think sometimes we just forget the root and the why. Why did this entire journey really start? We're just running behind something so randomly that we've literally forgotten the ground rules here. That, why is it that I started? Like, why did I start my own firm? Why did I start this job? Why do I take up this job? And it feels like, it's that definition has to be very clear in each one's head as to what is my why here, right? And a part of success and failure obviously comes from that place, because just blindly running behind success with absolutely no goal, or without knowing why you're doing what you're doing, is not something that is a healthy habit to have. Because you can be happy about it for a year or two, but when you look at a decade from now, it's not getting you anywhere. It's just that very temporary moment of happiness that you're going through, and maybe a bunch of social media posts and a bunch of likes and some million followers, and that's all. But I mean, what is the self satisfaction in that entire process? Were you able to affect lives? Were you able to bring in a change? I think that is the question that each one of us have to answer, because I feel like I measure success as if I am better than who I was yesterday.
I can't agree more with you, Sandesha, because actually I've had so many founders on this show, and when I asked them this question, that what's your biggest fear? And it's invariable and it's uncanny that each one of them have come up with the answer that the fear of failure is the biggest fear. So that kind of puts in a lot in perspective, because I think what we are not trained to do is not look at failure as a part of the success journey. Mostly it's like two things which are just cut out, that okay, this is one frame and this is second frame. Actually, things go hand in hand. So very nicely put. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective. So in that case, tell me, what have been some of your biggest challenges of fear in this journey?
So I think, as obviously as entrepreneurs and as leadership, there are always going to be challenges. When it comes to about conflicting with your time management, with being put in a scenario that you're responsible for multiple things, and then at the same time, I think for me personally, what has been the challenge is that obviously, because we started this company early on, and I was, I think I was probably 24 when we really started this, right? I was 20, 23 or 24. And I think I kind of had a tough time in figuring out the whole aspect of multitasking as to why am I responsible for so many things, one. And then in that process, juggling to sort of strike a balance between my personal and professional life, right? Because there is obviously a lot that you let go in the process of reaching heights. It doesn't come to you without letting go of some things in life, right? So I think I've always had this conflicting state of mind, at least back in the day. Now I've been able to overcome that, and I'll tell you how. But I think for me, what has really been conflicting is this whole juggle between wanting to do my 100% everywhere and this whole mindset that I have to do 100% no matter what. I think that has sort of been a conflict, for me. But I think I kind of then narrowed down my priorities. That you can't have 100 friends, you can't have 100 people in your birthday party. You can't call them all every day. You can't show up for a party every Friday. It
Correct.
can't all happen. And then at the same time, build what you want to build. It doesn't work that way. You have to have those, five important people, your five important priorities. And the number five really does a lot of it's very close to my heart also, in the sense that I have always narrowed down my choices to the number five,
Five.
because beyond that it's impossible. Like
It's
how much ever
countable,
you,
right?
it's countable, right?
Yeah.
It's countable. It's more achievable. It's more feasible, and I feel it's more real. Like I don't want to sound unrealistic by saying that you can do it all. No, I'm sorry, you cannot. It doesn't work that way. You have to know what your priorities are. So
But
so this entire conflicting scenario has always been about time management, one obviously, but I think that's gotten better because I've gotten into the habits of scheduling things. Now things are done in a more scheduled pattern. Earlier has to be like, why do people have assistants to schedule their calendars, right? But now I kind of understand the logic, because when you're responsible for so many things, you want someone to help you
correct.
tell you where do you have to be at what time doing what,
Correct.
right? And it's important when you're in a multifunctional job and doing it all, and then sort of trying to strike a balance between then your parents calling you, listen, I mean, you're not the only one who's doing this, you have to show up.
Then in that case, is it some sort of a conditioning that is leading us to be that tough on ourselves or juggle so much? Because men in the equal state, or at the equal stature, maybe professionally, would not be dealing with all of that. Or is this more like a self-infliction? Or is it more coming from the society, or is it a bit of both?
So I think it's not the gender in a way. I think it is the people who are conditioned, and thankfully, things. I mean, at least when I talk about myself and the family, I feel we've always been brought up with a mindset that everyone does everything. There is never going to be a state where, and hence, I could, because of the kind of support I had at home, because of the way my parents think, obviously I could do what I could do, because, sitting in the office all night and not showing up at home for days together is not something which is a usual scenario that in Indian families will be okay with, right? But I feel it's also a part of your upbringing and the culture in the house that really makes a difference in the way you think. So thankfully, that was never a pressure, for me, thankfully, and hence I think my entire transition and the growth at Artha also became super easy, because of the mindset because of that strong, unbreakable support that I had at home, of the people who have always considered that everyone does everything and there is no only mother or sister or the women in the house managing some course. When you're required to do something, you just quickly, wear that hat and just start getting on the job, right? And it's something that everyone's very moldable and adjusting in the house when it comes to those things. So, I feel like in a way my family is a more startup mindset in that sense than the firm itself. So, yeah.
Super, super. Really wish that we get that uh, unconditional support more and more women, so that a lot more can happen at the leadership level. So, talk me through your journey. I mean, from managing teams, organizational structures, HR, to now COO. How have you really catapulted in your journey, and how did it really come about?
Yeah, so the journey was obviously, I didn't really plan for any of these things, to be honest. As a part of the founder's office, my job was to constantly shadow him, right? And to make sure that the firm goals are sort of aligned with his time and schedule and everything else, and we're achieving what we're achieving, right? But I think it obviously it was always COO and CHRO. I mean, obviously from the whole transition of from being the founder's office to the COO bit. So at all points there was never a role as such at Artha. Before I took up this role. But the minute we thought of someone who could, who's responsible for the culture, who's responsible for heading the whole operational bit of things, to streamline things, to have structured way of doing things. There couldn't be anybody else but me, because I've worked so closely with him, that with the founder Anirudh, is that who else could understand the need of where the firm needs to head operationally and structures better than me. So, when it comes to the HR part of things as well, I'm someone who's responsible for, like, I take complete responsibility for building the culture at Artha, right? So today, what you call the culture is something that I feel 100% responsible for that, in a way. And as someone who's been responsible for this for so long, it does obviously sometimes take a toll on your, I would say, the way you sort of manage things, because uh, you are supposed to be seen a certain way all the time. Something that I also put up lately on my quotes is that, as leadership, or as management, why are you always constantly expected to be strong and happy face, right? I mean, you can go through your own downs, and you can have those challenges too. And but you always have to, I think, as leadership, you always have to sort of wear that face and the expression, because the team is going to pursue you a certain way. And and then how they feel about the firm has a lot to do about how you feel about it and all your challenges. So, in a way, that part has did sometimes, I feel like, why me, right? I mean, most there is this n number of times that I've asked this question to myself as to why me. But then I think, isn't that a part of what leadership is? It
Yeah.
comes with sort of a combination of multiple aspects, and one of the aspects is sometimes just wear that happy mask and on your face, and then just show up like you do, and force people to believe that everything is just all right. It's just
Yeah.
so it's a part of the role in a way. Yeah.
I hear you completely, Sandesha, but hasn't it really changed post COVID? Leading with empathy is something that everybody is talking about, and that's something that has become such a focus and theme for organizations. So isn't it actually coming out and being that authentic self and saying, okay, while I am so towards people, and there may be times when I'll have my vulnerabilities too. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think post COVID, we've obviously understood the fact that nothing is stable, right? There's a lot of, there is a lot of, you don't know what tomorrow is like. I mean, we've seen people, we've, in fact, in the entire Artha community, we did lose some of the people during COVID, right? I mean, when I talk about Artha community, it's part of the founders, and some founders, and some of our vendors, etc. So I feel a part of that has also taught us that it's okay to not feel you're 100% every single day, right? It's normal. And why do we have to keep uh, calling strength as some badge of honor,
Yeah.
that you are supposed to be strong every single morning? I think COVID has obviously taught us that, but in general, I feel we it's important to take care of every aspect of yourself, whether it is physical, emotional, psychological, because unless and until you do not have acceptance of what you're going through, it's very important. I think it's very important to have that, because otherwise there is no, I think there is nothing that you can wear on your face that will not show what you're feeling, right? That sense of acceptance, then how you want to express it is every individual's their way of dealing with it. Like for me, it is most times that I would take some time away and then figure things out and then come back fresh when I know that I am in the position to address a problem, right? And there's always been really strong support at work, thanks to the team, thanks to the founders, and people that have always let me take that time off when there is a need for one, right? So I think it's important. It's okay to show that you're going through something. It's okay to feel vulnerable at times. I think it's not something that is fair on yourself, And it's not fair for the people who trust you and respect you for you are, because they're not actually respecting the
Yeah.
real you. They're respecting what you're trying to show off,
Yeah.
which is not fair again, right? So are you again portraying an image that can take you the long way, or are you just solving a smaller today's problem? Is
Yeah.
still the question that I want to really ask a lot of people who keep like, I have to be strong and I can't. I have these guards up all the time.
Yeah, but you've chosen a tough way to do that. You will do all of that while trekking the mountains. That's the interesting part, that you will even choose a harder way to go and solve that issue. So that's quite unique. Sandesh, I have to give that to
I
you.
think now it's in a way it comes to me naturally. I don't find treks that difficult, but I think the entire the entire bliss is to the point where you reach the peak, and when you reach the peak, it just feels like what you see from there is something that really solves most of it for me at least.
Wow. Does that by anyhow come from, making your trips more productive? I hope that's not a trap, right? Because you want to achieve and attain and be somewhere. Don't tell me that, Sandesha,
No,
please.
so no. That's not. See, if I want to get to something like that, then I'll
Yeah.
probably just book a staycation in Bombay and stay in a hotel for a few days, read a couple of books, write a couple of blogs, and go through some tech and that's that, right? I feel like most times trekking is and there's always I've not planned trek only when I'm going through something, right? There has been sort of a trek also when I'm feeling really good about myself, right? It's not always sort of a problem solver for me.
Right. So, in that case, Sandesha, tell me, what's your biggest FOMO, fear of missing out? Do you have any?
I think FOMO. I think I kind of whenever there's a new restaurant open in town, I start getting a FOMO about wanting to visit till the time. And every single time I see everyone posting a story about it, I'm like, why am I not here yet? I think I'm kind of underachieving in life.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
So, tell me about your JOMO. Then, what is your joy of missing out? Like, you're happy that you missed it out. Start
I,
with
I
that.
think now when I'm touching 30, I guess the entire fun about the late night parties, I think I kind of love not showing up for some
Not.
of them.
Why?
I think priorities have changed. Honestly, I feel I kind of, I don't know. Lately, I just feel it's nice to sit in the house, sip a wine, call friends over, and that is that, right? Like this whole, there is a time to go all raging, and there's a time to, but I think most times, I think I kind of enjoy the in-house bit now, and I think the joy of missing out all the late night parties is sort of the fun moment for me now.
Sipping your
Not
wine.
showing up for things. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So, tell me about people, travel, places, shows. What inspires you, or what really makes you unbound?
From the many shows that I've watched, I think what's on the top list is Suits that I can think of. It comes on the Netflix and I think it's also on Amazon Prime. It's a very old show, something that was introduced to me by Anirudh, and I can't thank him enough for that. But I did not really know about a show of that format. But I think I've gone binge watching it like 5, 6 times, the entire 8 seasons. And I think even now, when I'm stuck, you definitely, if you've not watched, you should. It is so, it's connected, and I think it resonates with your real life so well. Because they are sort of every co-star in the show is firstly they are amazing actors. I feel like they just get into the character so well. Plus the format of the show is it's a corporate, but they are as close. Like the net five members are as close as families, right? They can show up for each other whenever there is something not happening right. And I feel like at Artha, we've kind of built those relationships lately where we are, at least some of us are as close as family to each other. So that's one show I love watching. And I think I can, anytime that I'm stuck professionally to make a decision, also, I can just go back to a particular episode and just go through that. And I feel awesome about it.
Oh, wow. What about books? Are there any?
So this month, honestly, I haven't, been able to spend enough time on reading. But yeah, in the last few months, I did go through. So one of my colleague gifted me the Tim Cook book about how you build Apple. He just left it on my desk, and then he just wrote a note that saying that when I saw this book, I could think of you, and that in a way was extremely motivating and complimenting at the same time, that your colleagues have shown that respect and trust in you. So that was one of the books that I did read. Lately I did read this book that Indira Nui wrote about her journey at PepsiCo. The fact that she's literally covered the reality aspects of things, and how the entire journey of being an entrepreneur just sounds like, okay, you don't report to anybody and it's all fun, but I'm sorry, it is not. the journey of an entrepreneur covers a lot more than just making your own money and not reporting it to anybody.
All right. So now we come to our rapid reflex round where I just want your answer in a word or maybe a sentence. So are you ready for this one?
I am.
All
Like I
right.
said, as far as I'm getting the hamper.
All right. We'll make sure that you get something.
Let's go on, yeah.
All right. So love to you is
Trust and respect.
never have you ever.
Cheated on anybody.
Good one. When in doubt, you like to.
Pause.
One thing you wish parents never said to their children.
We did this all and you can do it too.
Life to you is
Bright and sexy.
purpose to you is
Creation.
and impact to you is.
Change.
All right. Well, with that, you've truly come unbound, Sandesha. That's really nice. Well done. I'll let you know on your hamper too.
Thank you very much.
So thank you so much. This was like really fun. I really wish on the parting note that may you keep climbing many more mountains, finding your way, your peaks, your valleys, and your joy. And thank you so much for inspiring us and sharing your purpose, vision, and journey with me. We wish you an unbounded success ahead.
Thank you, Mamta. It was honestly a pleasure. On the parting note, I would definitely want to cover the aspect that if you want to achieve something bigger, it doesn't really happen overnight. You've got to have the trust. You've got to show up every single day, however you feel, and and that's how you get to where you want to eventually.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Sandesha. We will keep coming back to you for more.